Welcome, time for some art fun. Today, we're going to be drawing a pair of goats hanging out in a field. And I decided to throw in some highly professional videography for you all. I'm trying to do different angles and mix it up for you. So please let me know in the comments if you like having this variety of camera angle that I'm throwing in this time. So it's not just a pair of goats. The idea behind this piece is here. I kind of sketched it out for myself in my cheat sketchbook this morning, and just the idea and how I kind of wanted it to go. And I didn't just want these goats to just be two random goats in a field. To me, they're really representative of me and my sister. My sister is 2 years older than me to the day. So we actually have the exact same birthday, like bizarro twins. And that poor sweet girl kind of had her birthday taken away. I mean, I feel kind of bad for her. I loved it because as the little sister, you worship your older sister and look up to her, and my older sister happens to be very worthy of that. She's a wonderful, wonderful person and a great mother and just adorable. It's obviously her 3 kids in that ninja forest family video that I did. It's the only kind of 4 kids video that I've done. And I miss them so much, so I'm probably the #1 person rewatching that video. It's not really my usual thing, but when I went to visit, I did that video with them, and it just makes my heart warm to think about it. But even though I love her so much, and she loves me, and we're really best friends now, when we were little, she was so funny about me being born on her birthday. Apparently when my mom brought me home, she like snarkily said, "I didn't ask for this for my birthday." And I can't say that I blame her. I mean, what little kid wants, I guess some kids who wait a really long time and like beg their parents for siblings and say, "Mom, I want a little sister for my birthday." Those kids might, enjoy that, but she never did that. She was only 2 when I was born. She'd barely had a chance to want anything other than like, I don't know, like a Rainbow Bright doll or something. So I just kind of feel bad for her, but also, I'm thinking about it in the context of being an adult now, and I know that we love having each other, and she has a daughter and 2 sons, and the daughter is always saying, "You have a sis, you can say, 'Hey sis.' I want to be able to say, 'Hey sis.'" She wants a sister. And the factory is closed, as my sister puts it, so there ain't gonna be any sister coming anytime soon. But it's just such a funny thing, and I'll really enjoy that when I visit. I'll say, "Hey sis." So this picture of these 2 little goats in a field, when I was first envisioning it, I was sort of like, okay, it's probably going to be fairly similar to the sort of situation in that chipmunk video that I did, where there's a chipmunk in sort of a room, a blue room, although it's a much darker blue, more dark gray blue than this pretty little medium pale blue, that is drinking from a teacup, and in the tea saucer is a little blueberry, and there's a bunch of hay on the ground. And I was like, okay, well, these goats are just going to be in a field with hay, and I love the complementary colors, the blue and this sort of orangey, yellowy hay, or field of grasses that they can eat. And, blue and orange are complementary colors across from each other on the color wheel, so those are always going to be pleasing to the eye, some version of that. And I really like the muted color palette. The color palette in this piece is probably my favorite part of the whole piece. When you see it coming together, you'll see what I mean. But I loved the whimsical element of the blueberry and the teacup in the chipmunk piece, and I wanted something like that in this one. And the goats were already reminding me of me and my sister. Again, she's just like really on my mind because I just visited her for the first time in 2 years when, early 2020 hit and everything that went along with that, including travel restrictions, was going on. I had not visited her for maybe 4 or 5 months, and that's pretty typical. I'll visit like maybe every 6 to 8 months. And I thought that's what was going to happen. I was going to go see her and the kids in just a few more months, and then it was literally 1.5 years from that time. So I've been thinking about them so much. Obviously, it's never enough time when I visit, and it was just such a great, fun visit this time. And so I decided, like those little owls, the sister owls that I've shown so many times, that I painted on the plane on the way home from that trip, I wanted to do another little set of sibling animals. But what I thought would make this even more appropriate would be if they weren't just in a field, but if they were in a field standing around a single wrapped present. So not only is my sister 2 years older than me to the day, but we're actually both born right around the holidays. And so it's sort of like very tempting for people other than our parents to do a lot of the old, here's your joint birthday present / holiday present and enjoy. Both of you can just share for every single event happening and generally in December. So this is just two goats standing around, and you'll see I'm just using yellow ochre watercolor here. The background, by the way, was the permanent acryl gouache, the Turner gouache. I really like using mixed media, and I really liked using the permanent acryl gouache for that blue background to try to get a really flat sort of, there's a little texture and a little bit of color variation that I like, but overall the impression to the eye is a solid blue. The bottom is a solid yellow ochre watercolor, and then I'm just dabbing in some ultramarine and I believe I mixed it with burnt sienna, but mostly ultramarine, to just do a little bit of a grass texture to start the hint of the texture that's going to be added next with regular gouache, Windsor and Newton gouache, and that's what I'm starting with here. So I wanted to have that single present there and that'll be the last thing I probably fill in. To sort of suggest like these two goats are just sort of looking at you thinking, okay, dude, which one of us is this for? Where's my present? Did you forget something? That's, I bet, a feeling my sister must have had, like everywhere she went for her birthday. There I was just tagging along like, what about me? Where's my present? This picture is just cracking me up because of that, and it's just such a major callback to my childhood and the way that it was with my sister around birthday time. My parents were really good about it. They would let us do one sort of fun party with all of our friends there, so like maybe a roller skating party or a DJ party, you know. We're talking about the 90s, people. So, you know, late 80s, early 90s was when we were doing this kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun for me, and I don't know how much fun it was for my sister to have to share. I loved it. I was like, my big sister and all her cool older friends are here. We're so cool to hang out with the older kids. So I think having this sort of whimsical element of a random present here, just sitting there with these two hilarious goats staring right at you, both kind of chomping on hay. You can't see the hay yet. I'm gonna make that more obvious with the gouache, but I just think it's a really fun element of, and I'll say it one more time and maybe make it 80 million times that I've said it, an element of whimsy that I think really makes this piece what I want and makes it special. So what I've done so far is I did the Turner acryl gouache in the background. I did the goats themselves with watercolor mostly. I did use some platinum carbon ink in my Jinhao fountain pen for the eyes and the nose and the mouth, and just a little bit of outlining at the very beginning that you saw. And then I dove right into watercolor as a base, the yellow ochre. It was just solid yellow ochre base, and then a little bit of that ultramarine for the little bluegrass area on the bottom, and then right in with my beautiful brand new Windsor and Newton gouache that I've been loving in my Stay Wet palette that I reviewed and just really continue to review in almost every video. So at this point, I was really happy with the background. I was done fiddling with that. I was happy with the present. I just needed to work on the details. So I was removing the washi tape, and I have to tell you, it was like the most comically bad experience. The top and the bottom came off so easily, and then for some reason, none of the other tape wanted to come off easily. It was just like a comedy of errors trying to get this washi tape off. This is one of my favorite washi tapes. This is my Mira Byler washi tape. This is the Succulents pattern that I've used a million times. I'm into my Mira Byler washi tapes right now because I'm being willing to use them and willing to use up my washi tape, telling myself you can use it up because that means you can get more. But I've just never had this problem with her tape, and it was just very funny to me that it went on and on and on. So then I went in with these Staedler fineliners, and I just wanted to add some detail to the present and to the goats themselves, because I feel like when I added in the watercolor, some of the details were lost, and I hadn't actually even filled in their horns yet. Their horns are supposed to be dark, and so I used this same fine liner to go ahead and fill in their horns. I will say, if you are enjoying this video, I would so appreciate it if you would consider subscribing and liking the video. I don't know what magic it performs with YouTube's algorithm, but it definitely does something wonderful, and I would just really appreciate your support in that way if you are getting any value out of this content. So that is the detailed final piece. I really love the texture. I, again, just laugh every time I look at this because I'm thinking about my childhood and my sister. I love the way those grasses look and the different layers of the gouache on top of the watercolor, on top of the Turner acryl gouache, and then the different detailed pens that I used. So one of the pens that I used was this Gellyroll. It's the biggest one that they have. It's like a size 10, I think. It's just a really fat white gel pen. It shows up beautifully on the watercolor, on the gouache, on everything. And then, yeah, I used this Staedler fine liner. It's in like a dark warm gray. I used that on the face. I detailed the fur. I detailed the present with that. And then I used the white fine liner to outline the horns, details on the nose, around the eyes. I just went to town with it, and I'll just give you another close-up so you can sort of see those details and you can pick them out. You can see what I mean with that. I even did some fur on the left side of the smaller baby goat, and I made his little belly a little bit fluffier. So that is the final piece. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like and subscribe and come around for the next set of videos. And until next time, remember to create something cute.